right, good evening, folks. Welcome to cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester. This is the wonderful world of Rich Bly coming to you live every Monday. Sorry for the delay, folks. We had to take care of some housekeeping real quick. And once again, we thank each and every one of you as our avid listeners, no matter which segments that you reach out to get the mature conversations that you're looking for coming from out of Chester and all of Delco. I just want to take this time, first of all, like I start off all my programs with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for this time of health and we thank you for the benefit of your strength. Without you, nothing would be possible. We thank you for family. We thank you for those friends, and we thank you for all of the possibilities that you have given us to strengthen and encourage us through our fellowship. We thank you for you being the light in our lives so that that way we can journey forth into our fellow man and fellow womanhood and show them the best of what we have of one another. Unite us in unity, keep us safe in your strength. And I send out special prayers to my friend Dot Hetzog for her husband today and keeping him in prayer. Dot, just let you know that, somebody's always listening, somebody's always concerned. And my heart and my love goes out to you and your family. These things I ask for in Christ's name. Amen. Now, with that being said, um, I've talked about a number of different things since I've been back on this station on Mondays. And one of the things that I also need to do that's going to be part of my segments is that I'm also going to read some scripture. And the reason for that being is that as I've told a lot of people, my spirituality um, rests in the fact that I know that we wrestle not against just flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and powers, and that there are people who invoke the spiritual realm even to this day to cause harm to people through different types of thoughts, deeds, and spirits. I'm not a fool to the spirituality of what happens on this earth, on this earthly plane, and in the spiritual existence. So there's something that was laid on my heart today from my friend Sherry, Sherry Q. Um, I was just going to read it very briefly because, again, I'm a firm believer in putting on the full armor of God in anything that I do, and I know that we're in perilous times right now. So it's best that I cover myself and ensure that the safety and the sanctity of being righteous before God is paramount in my life. So when I speak to my Heavenly Father for today's spiritual reading, it comes with ask me for wisdom. That's the Lord. Ask me for wisdom, beloved. I know how much you need it. King Solomon requested a discerning heart, and he received wisdom in magnificent abundance. This precious gift is also essential for you, especially when you're making plans and decisions. So come to me, that's the Lord, for what you need, and trust me, that's the Lord, to provide it in full measure. One aspect of wisdom is recognizing your need for my help, that's the Lord, in all that you do. When your mind is sluggish, it's easy to forget about me, that's the Lord, and simply dive into your tasks and activities. But eventually you bump into an obstacle. Then you face an important choice to push ahead full throttle or to stop and ask the Lord for insight, understanding, and guidance. The closer you are to the Lord, you live, the more readily and frequently you will seek his help. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Though I am your friend, remember who I am in my great power and glory. Godly fear is reverential awe and worshipful admiration, provides the best foundation for wisdom. So, with that reading, again, because my spirituality demands it on a daily, and I understand that we wrestle not just against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and powers. Um, I'm also going to give you the book of James, chapter 1, 5, 6. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and that shall be given to him. But let him ask in faith, not in selfishness. Let him ask in faith, never wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. I'm just going to put verse 7 in there. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double minded man is unstable in all of his ways. A double minded man, a two faced person, is unstable in all of their ways. So, and I'm setting that up, for today's topic. But before we get into that, there's something that's on my mind that happened yesterday, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles losing one game, and the amount of people that felt as though it was their Super Bowl, especially a couple fellas who Martinez Hartley, Martin Hartley shall remain nameless because it's funny how when you have success for over a year and you building a dynamic of a team that's been to the past three Super Bowls, and the past 3 years been the three Super Bowls pretty much, and winning two out of the three, and all of a sudden after one game, we're just a trash in the division. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand the sports logic of some of you guys that wanted to pounce on top of that when you know for certain, for sure, Giants fans, that y'all gonna feel the wrath of all of that pain on Thursday, and then after that, once again, you have to look at it like this for so some of you sports fanatics, uh, look at the conference standings. Okay, we are still number two in our conference, not just the division. That's the whole NFC conference. We're still number two in that category. So, you know, it's a little premature to start celebrating and, saying that we have a demise. And I hear the controversy with, wide receivers. Who hasn't had controversies with wide receivers? We all know how that goes. Wide receivers want the ball all the time. Playmakers want the ball all of the time. All of the time. You know what I mean? That's just the way that they built. So, you can pick it apart for what you want. What I will say is this: defense needs a real good look. Um, Defense needs a real good look coming into the game versus the Giants. We need to see some drastic improvements on some coverage reads and making sure that we're not just doing anything that causes these blind zebras that they call referees to take us out of the game, because that's essentially, and I don't work for the NFL, so I call it the way I see it. You allow the referees to dictate the game. Defense. You allowed the referees to dictate the game. No matter how they tried to take us out offensively, the offensive line showed up for as much as it could. We're missing a very integral part, in, with Lane Johnson. So I don't want anybody to sit back and act like that's like most teams when they have their players out. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. We'll see you guys real soon. Uh, Before we get into my topic subject matter for today, I also want to touch on something that's part of the weekly events, and it's this Bad Bunny Super Bowl. You know, I find it hilarious that we're arguing about entertainment and entertainment content. This reminds me like of Gladiator, where they just threw bread and everybody was just screaming and yelling and trying to rip each other apart for the bread and whatever fruit and you know wine they want to give to you, and we just clamor all over top of who's going to be the next sacrificial lamb for the purpose of entertainment, and is driving divisions amongst people because this gentleman has a political social stance, and people, want to talk about what they expect from out of, you know, a bunch of billionaires who own their product exclusively, and you know, they can do whatever they want. And you're talking about a brand that has exclusively kicked everybody out from joining in on any type of revenue share in the product of football. And I'm trying to understand what's the deal. It's really I'm just trying to I'm just this is why I want to have this conversation about the betrayal of American values, because these things really didn't care or factor into life when I was growing up. And I'm just trying to I'm like I said, as a keen observer. I'm not an expert. I've never claimed to be an expert. I hold no degrees. There are no letters in front of my name or behind my name. But I'm a keen observer of social behavior and the way that people act and what they say. And actions don't match up with words. Now, again, I'm flawed. I'll be the first one to tell you I've made mistakes ungodly, but I don't make the same mistake twice. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not being judgmental. I'm just being very observant, and having this program allows me to address some of the concerns that some of us see on a daily basis, that we see in our communities, and some of the topics that are expressed on social media that people don't get to talk about because they feel as though that somebody's going to come at their neck for having an opinion. I really love this era of freedom of speech, but also at the same time, I absolutely hate it, because I understand that when I get behind this mic, or if I go to a township council meeting or whatever, I know that I have a certain responsibility for my words. So a lot of the times, before I get started on anything, I always make sure I vet some information. I did a post. Hey, Pauline, shout out to my sister Pauline Sabatino. Um, I made a post. Somebody put a quote up from some that was attributed to somebody else. I didn't go through the whole thing, and someone on my sister Pauline's page came in and said, get it right, or something to that degree or whatever. So I just deleted it. But that leads me into the context of what I'm about to say. So on the post, it was a picture of Jimmy Carter. Now, as everybody knows, Jimmy Carter's a former president from back in the day, Habitat for Humanity, peanut farmer, Georgia, blah, 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 blah. And for a lot of people, they didn't like him for his presidential policies, but they respected this former president because they felt as though that he was a decent human being, for the most part. A lot of people have expressed, different types of opinions about the man. Um, Growing up, the way that I saw the man growing up is the way that I choose to keep it. I choose to keep it that way. I mean, like I understand that a lot of things have been opened up, with the release of CIA and FBI, data and all this other type of stuff, and you see the governmental functions of people, whatever. But one thing I will say about this man is that no matter what he did as president, he was an even better human being for building homes for people and advocating for unhoused people, and putting his money where his mouth was, and letting his image and everything to that particular cause. So whether you like him or not or whatever, um, a quote went up that was attributed to him with his picture on it. I was called out on it. Sorry for not having it factual. I didn't vet it. So there you have it. But I deleted it from off your page, sis. But I will say this. for a lot of people that want to come and talk to me about what I meant about folks saying that they care about those who are disenfranchised, who are unhoused, that are substance abuse or whatever, I notice how folks are quick to come for other people who absolutely do the work. And speaking of people doing the work, how about the Life Center of Delaware County that's right there at 63rd and Market Street, tucked in there right by Cobb's Creek? How about that's closing too? Upper Darby. Oh, Chester, this matters to you too because they're going to have to find their way up here through media. They're going to have to find their way up here into Chester because the Life Center in Upper Darby is closing. So there is no homeless shelter in Upper Darby. And unless you are a Philadelphia resident, Delaware County, those who have uh, identification and addresses in Delaware County, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the people who are in power from the county have decided that you aren't worth a doggone, that your life is not going to matter, and that you won't have a place to stay this winter. And I say that not to those who are perennially unhoused and those who are substance abuse. I'm talking about women in crisis, children in crisis, the working poor, men who have jobs and can sustain themselves but can't find a residence because the rent is so high. And everybody wants first, last, and first, last, and middle, and the baby's toenails and everything like that. And you know that that's impossible when you got to eat. But the Life Center of Delaware County is slated to close. Don't ask me when. I don't know. I just know it's going to close. And it's not my fault. So, once again, please do not shoot the messenger because I have to come and tell you what's going on in your county and in your township and with these so-called people that you said love us. And I put that out to the voting citizenry that keep asking questions. Well, how did this happen? Or why did this happen? And what's going on with this? And what's going on with that? You guys don't pay attention. I'm sorry. I'm not chastising. I'm just telling. You don't pay attention. You pay attention to the things that are important to you. And some of those things that are important to you don't happen to be what's going on in your community. But when people like myself and others who are, in, the media circle have to bring the news and tell you exactly who's responsible, the who, the what, the where, the why, you know what I mean, the when, and what was there a conclusion, and you want facts, and folks sit back and say, oh, you talking about this person, you're not being factual. I'm not here to talk about anybody. I'm here to talk about how they're treating you. I'm here to talk about what is being done to you and how this is going to make an impact in your environment. Why? Because Upper Darby is now K&A. Upper Darby has a whole open air drug sales going on right on the corner. Ain't nobody doing nothing to stop it. The superintendent of police, man, come on. The cops drive by it every day. The bulls are sitting out there in the chairs. Hold on, yo, listen. I thought I would never see a day in my life where you could openly sell drugs at 69th Street and have a lawn chair out there chilling, like comfortable. You know why? When you can do, and I'm gonna say this because see, a lot of people have to understand you don't know what you're talking about. I'm from the crack era. You know, I'm from the beginning of when crack was created and the levels that was built on it. Ain't nothing different under the sun. These bulls doing the same thing jokers that was doing since they was selling heroin back in the 50s and the 60s. Same corner talents, same corner wastefulness. But what's the same is that if you're able to operate with impunity 24/7, day and night, first thing in the morning till way past midnight, and your police do nothing, y'all know what time it is. Come on now. I mean, we see this all over. If the police drive by every day and see the same face on the same corner at the same time, and they not catching a bus, and you drive by an hour later, and it's the same guy on the same corner wearing the same clothes, and they ain't waiting on a bus. But that's Upper Darby, yo. It is. That's Upper Darby. So since Upper Darby is, the county is doing Upper Darby a big favor because Upper Darby already closed um, the homeless shelter that they claimed and said that we're going to help people and we're going to make sure they have a place to go and we're going to help the woman that got it started and we're going to make sure that we exercise our mandate of taking care of vulnerable people in our community. See when people think of unhoused, you don't understand that the unhoused are elderly people as well who might have what little bit of their life possessions in a car, but don't want to risk getting carbon monoxide poisoning and will have to need just a place to stay. Their dignity is still intact. But see, the county and the county president, she don't care about none of that. She go home to her family, her children, her husband, and she just go ahead and just model her ass right into whatever room she doing, and it's all cookies and cream with that chick. But it's real easy to say, you know what, you poor unfortunate people that ain't got nothing, I'm gonna take everything from you and screw everybody else because I don't care. And they really don't care. Just like that 91-year-old woman who lost her home. 91-year-old black great grandmother lost her home because nobody in Delaware County gave a damn about her life. And y'all want us to, you know, come on, let's be civil and let's have a civil conversation about, what really happened was. And see, y'all wanna play footsies with evil people. Y'all want to get in bed with them, but you want to play footsies with them under the table. These are inherently wicked and evil people. Inherently wicked and evil. And they are in position and they are in power. And this is what they're doing. I can't make this up. I'm not telling any lies. You may not like the message. Guess who don't care? Guess who don't care that you don't like the message? But you're not going to walk around asking what happened when it happens. You're not going to sit back and try to blame somebody else down in Washington, D.C. that might have a color you don't like. You can't blame him because he ain't got nothing to do with it. These are the people you put in power. These are their decisions. This is not because of the government shutdown. Please do not let these people lie to you. Because if you go to the county website, you will find that before Donald Trump became president, they got budgeted money to handle the budget to keep services going. If I'm lying, go to the page. It's on there with a time date stamp. They put it there. Again, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me and say that I'm a liar because I'm not lying. It's in they see this. Let me tell you something about a thief. And let me tell you something about a thief and a liar. They lie so much and they steal so much that they lose track of how much they steal and they lose track of how many lies that they told. And then what's been happening, and you've seen this all over the place, and for all you people who want to be in denial about whatever you want to be in denial about, you see that the facts in black and white on paper are coming out about who these people really are and how they really feel. So I'm not putting anything on anybody. My opinion about them is my opinion. I think they're low down, dirty scum. I find no redeemable quality in evil people who are malicious and tearing down their fellow human beings. I have no respect for it. I'm not supposed to. Just because you have a title, listen, that goes from president down to mayor's assistant, CAO, whatever. I'm dead serious. I'm very serious. So don't try to lump and categorize me politically because you'll get your feelings hurt badly. Because Rich Blye is an independent. I may agree with some things that are said conservatively, but then there's some things I disagree with wholeheartedly. I may agree with some things that have been said liberally, but then I disagree with the bull crap that they're putting out right now because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, seeing the attitudes and the lack of love and the fact that these people still want to murder people. Okay, that's fine. But yes, the Life Center of Delaware County at 63rd and Market Street, after being open for, you know, many years, is closing. So let's get to this betrayal of American values. Okay. Why would I call this segment the betrayal of American values? Well, that's because we see what's happening in New York. We see what's happening in California. We're seeing what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan. We're seeing what's happening down in Waco, Texas. We're seeing what's happening in parts of Maryland. We see what's happening all over the United States where you have groups of people who supposedly fled oppression from where they were or sought political asylum for where they were, came to this country to start a brand new life under the American system and live off of the fruit and value of American values, and now want to chase you off your own land and tell you that you can't be American. Who's the chick from this woman that's running for governor actually has an ad out talking about she's more Georgia than people born in Georgia. And she's the daughter of an immigrant. My grandmother, It's from Macon, Georgia, woman. And I promise you, you ain't even close to being Georgia than my dearly departed grandmother. May she rest in peace. Are you serious? And this is what I'm trying to say. Why are we allowing people to get away with this type of stuff? I'm serious. Why are we allowing our values to be betrayed right in front of our faces and no one is batting an eyeball? No one's pushing back and saying, hold on, wait a second. You see, these folks that are betraying our values know that you really don't respect your freedom. I'm going to say this again. They know that you have no respect for your freedom, and that's why they push you because you have no respect for it. If you had respect for your freedom, then you would understand the value that we have in our American society. Now, I also know that a lot of folks, when they listen to different programs, we start talking about America and the country and everything like that, you equate it to the American politics. Do me a favor. Goodbye. That's not what I'm talking about. That's what you may be talking about, and maybe you feel that way. But I do not. When I speak about America, I speak about the soil that I was born on. And I speak about it in a way because my father fought for this soil. So did my grandfather. So did my great grandfather. So did my uncles. We have stake in this land. We have a historical inheritance with this land. So I'm not going to be somebody that's just going to go, oh, do, man, this ain't for me. Um, I haven't really gone any place else on this planet where I felt as though that country was for me or the people were for me, despite, how much time I spent there, what little bit of time I spent there. There's no place like the home that I was born and raised in, America. So, speaking of that, the number one, do you know what the number one American value is? The number one American value is family. Family is number one. Out of all the surveys that have been done, asking folks about what the American value is, family has always come across as number one. And I'm quite sure that when these studies were done and these surveys were done, it was cut across a large swath of people from different backgrounds, different demographics, different political views, this, that, and the third, or whatever. But family always came up as the number one. And why? Because every individual needs a sense of belonging. And the first feeling that you feel is the family that you have, or how I like to call it, the family that you keep and the people that keep you, that they're family. Because um, blood sometimes is not as thick as the water that runs deep with people who absolutely care about you. And I know that from experience. But family, that sense of belonging, is the number one value. So, with that sense of family, number two, because I don't really have to get into family, you know what that value is, you know how that feels. But let's talk about number two, respect, personal integrity. I feel as though, in my opinion, that personal integrity has been lost in a lot of the family dynamics that we have to deal with from day to day. Case in point, our children are now coming home. A lot of you moms and dads that have kids that are now in the elementary school system, first, second, and third grade, and you're hearing things that aren't repeated in your home. I mean, they've never been said in your home, but now it's being said and being described because of the environment that your children are in. I'm going to say this very gently. Uh, make sure you get a hold of that very, very quickly and put the personal integrity and the respect back into your children, back into your family values. Do not let the elements of the environment of school or outside disrupt the personal integrity of your American value of not having your child assimilate into the environment of these schools. And this is at a elementary school level. And now, from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing, from my observations from the past month of being around children that I've had to take to school, I'm telling you, folks, right now, the conversations that you're hearing that your children are saying, you need to monitor them. They are coming from a place that is not in your dynamic, in your family circle, and you need to eradicate it as quickly as possible and reestablish your personal integrity and respect in your family. Let's go to number three. Number three, American value, trustworthiness. Not honesty, trustworthiness. Trustworthy. Who can you trust? Who can you trust? I think what Jack Nicholson said that in Batman. Who can you trust? Can you trust your mayor? Can you trust your council people? Can you trust the guy behind the glass that's cooking your food at the Chinese store? Can you trust that the person that's driving in the car behind you is going to put their brakes on and not slam into the back of you? Can you trust your significant other that they're not going to spend up the mortgage money and can you trust yourself with the things that you need to do and save your life to make yourself a better person? Trustworthiness is one of the pillars and foundations of an American value because we all have to work together somehow in some way, some fortune in this environment that we're in. In the hospitality industry, I had to trust people to come to work and do a job, not just motivated by money, but because they like the environment that they're in and they trusted the management team to be there on time to let them in so they could do their duties and get out of there. But the camaraderie that they had was always based upon the trustworthiness of the leadership. Can you trust your American leaders? Because I'm telling you right now, from what I'm seeing, I don't trust none of them. I don't trust. I don't trust what nobody's saying out of their mouth. I don't trust none of it. I don't trust none of it. I'm extremely skeptical of everybody right now. I think it's very deceptive with a lot of the things that people are doing. This AI is getting out of control. Where like I said, false pictures with false quotes. I got caught up in one today, and I don't like that. But obviously, I have to be a little bit more diligent. That's my fault. But also at the same time, now, how are we going to trust when we keep putting these different barriers in front of each other to understand one another so we can accomplish things together? Because, you know, like I said, we have to be open and direct with one another. And for the most part, I believe that it's kind of hard for folks to be direct. One of the things that if you ever, get to meet me and you come across me in your comings and goings, please do me a favor. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. You don't have I promise you, I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to do anything fake. I'm not going to say anything that you want to hear. I probably won't agree with you, and depending upon how you come up on me, I might not like you. I might not. That's my choice. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to do that. Your spirit might not hit well with me. It might not. My words might, be abrasive. Your words might be abrasive. But trust me, if I start something with you and I start a commitment with you and I'm working with you, trust me when I say that you can trust me because my word is my bond. Number 4, freedom and liberty. Goes without saying, freedom and liberty. Number 5, individualism and self reliance. Self reliance. Um, I always talked about how, as a child, as a young person, as a teenager, that the art of the hustle was something that was built in our family. Mom and dad really didn't have the money, like that to get the extras. They got the basics, but the extras, you had to get out there and hustle. And this is one of the things that I saw in a conversation and several postings uh, in several forums on several people's pages when it comes to um, what does the other sex bring to the table. First of all, first of all, the other half should bring their own table. This is just my opinion. Again, everybody gonna say this, da, 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 should be no 50-50. If that's what you can afford with somebody and somebody wants to make an agreement to go 50-50 with that person and that works for that person and love is built off of that 50, then mind your business. I'm sorry. Like everybody's not going to be up to the standard of baller level. Living the Vida Loca, Cardi Bism. You can throw money, you can burn money fast. You can, you know what I mean? Like we get it. Some of y'all are like that. Good for you. Good for you. Ain't no hate. But then there are some people that will just achieve just enough to be great for somebody that just can be great for somebody else, and their togetherness makes them great. So you can't hate on what they got. That's called envy. That's a mild form of jealousy. I can't do it. I can tell you right now, my grandmother, God rest her soul, again, I love the wisdom of my grandmothers, and this one's on my father's side. My grandmother said, "Boy," she said it just like that. "Boy, some woman is not going to like you enough to want to take care of you. You better learn how to take care of yourself." And I can. And I'm not saying that boastfully. I'm saying that my grandmother, being the woman that she was, having the, sight beyond sight of the way that the world was turning, having daughters of her own. Her daughters had daughters and stuff like that. So, this is a critique by a woman who loved me, who understood that the world was changing and that the value of some of these women was on the downturn. Now, I'm not talking about all you virtuous women out there. Shout out to y'all. But we talking about, some of your girlfriends. Just like I got some, well, excuse me, I'm gonna say this very, very gently. I don't have any friends that I need to provide alibis for, straight up. So if somebody uses my name in a sentence and say they were hanging out with me, I'm gonna tell you right now that's a lie. That's gonna be a big lie. Because I can promise you that I am not outside of my house after 10 o'clock p.m. every night. I'm not in the street. I'm not doing no overnights. I'm not at nobody's bar. I'm not in nobody's club. I'm not in no broad's face. I ain't buying nobody no drinks. None of that is happening. Sorry. Been there, done that. Waste of time. Now listen, I'll go out socially. I'll hang out. I'll watch an Eagles game. I'll watch a Phillies game. I'll watch a Flyers game. I'll watch a Sixers game. You know, uh, Jean Pierre said I'm going to, go to a soccer match, and I'm waiting for that. But again, once I'm done with an activity, pew, ain't no extracurricular activities because people don't know how to act. So that individualism and that self-reliance folds into the trustworthy of my freedom and liberty and that respect and personal integrity to not harm myself and my family by putting myself in a position. See how that rolls together? So let's go to number 6. Um, American value, free enterprise. Free enterprise. What does free enterprise mean to each and every one of us? Well, to put it very simply, the ability to make money, the ability to, trade and barter for goods, or, sell or haggle, or hustle, or, to be able to, you know, be a consumer, to purchase items with a certain responsibility, a flair, frivolous, whatever, disposable income, free enterprise. Some of you call it capitalism. You got more made in China stuff on your body than Chinese have on theirs in China. Free enterprise. The ability to create something and sell your product with a freedom that is not going to be copied and ripped off in an international market, or and sold at a lesser value, so that way it takes away from your credibility as a designer, inventor, or whatever. Free enterprise. And an American value. You know what's funny to me is that I see a lot of these folks who complain so much about the American value, but they own businesses here in America. They got that EBT machine going like hotcakes. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Got that debit card machine going. Zoom, zoom, zoom. But all the while in your face, while you grocery shopping at the corner store and everything like that, telling you, hey, they not hiring you at their businesses. I saw a post the other day about, people need to be, um, supportive of the upcoming homecoming that's coming for Chester. But I still don't see none of those businesses being supportive in your own neighborhoods. And you know what businesses I'm talking about. We don't see them, but your blunt bills are being bought out of there. Your cigarettes are being bought from out of there. In some places, your beer is being bought from out of there. In certain places, your food is being bought from out of there. But what I've seen in this free enterprise market is people telling folks who have been doing this as vendors for a number of years how they're supposed to just come in there and pay this exorbitant amount of money for a fee to folks that may or may not purchase from them. And if they do, are going to haggle about pricing. Why is that? You don't argue with Miss Lim. You don't argue about the price when you go over to the buffet where they charging you $30 to sit down and then rushing you out the door. You don't haggle at the Wawa. And I know Wawa gives corporate support. You know what I mean? Them pretzels and them juices, you know what I mean? That costs. You know what I mean? Wawa pretzels and juices, man. Come on, man. Like, I'm just saying, free enterprise. I'm gonna put y'all on some game. Will y'all please just go ahead and get some open space, find some open space, get some permits, get some permits, get some permits, put your own vending ideas together, put your own entertainment values together, okay? And then what you do collectively as a coalition, you then take up a donation and you take it over and you do a presentation over at Chester High School for the kids and their cheerleading program and the football team and everything like that. Because I'm sorry, and this needs to be said. Uh, where are the damn bleachers and the scoreboard? Because listen, and I don't want to hear it because a lot has been promised and the return on investment has been minimal. So when people have something to say about that, they have every right to vent a frustration because it's what they see and they know how they're treated. And it's not fair for anyone to tell anybody about their point of view experience when they see it happening. You see it too. Like I said, a lot of people, a lot of people, these people are your friends. I get it. They're your friends. And it's cool. You want to protect your friends. You know what I mean? I'm here because you know what so and so, da da da. Well, you don't know what that so and so does 24 hours, 7 days a week. You don't know what that person did to that individual or how they spoke to that individual. Trust me, I know that sometimes I can be very abrasive with certain people. I can come off the wrong way. But I guarantee you that if I know the intent of the person standing in front of me, I'm not going to play with you. I really, I'm not. I'm not going to waste your time. It's not about you wasting my time. I'm not going to waste your time. That's the free enterprise that I'm talking about. Do you have fun, make money, but don't stand in the way of somebody else making money. All right. Another betrayal of the American values, and you've seen this all through COVID, whether you want to believe it or not. This county, this township, this state, and the federal government has usurped the rule of law when it comes to constitutional rights of the American people, and some of you stand firmly behind that. Because we're going to keep having this battle and this conversation talking about freedom of speech. Like I said, a lot of folks think they understand what freedom of speech is without realizing that there are consequences to certain forms of speech. Not all speech has a consequence. Some people can say, hey, have a conversation, talk about this book, talk about this object, whatever, and it's really not consequential. People may have a different point of view, but it's not anything that's malicious or whatever. I know that sometimes some of the things that I can say in this forum has gotten people to, oh, you talking about, you don't know, and then, I'll have a conversation or two about it. And then when people meet me in the street and still have that same opinion, not realizing that, hey, during this time slot, I'm expressing a lot of different frustrations from a lot of different folks from a lot of different walks of life. And I have to channel it into me and bring it to you in a way where it's me talking. But if I had to name or drop names, which I will not, the list is about a mile long. And I have to say this gently to folks who don't understand because of my reputation and because of things that I have done in the past and things that I've done presently and things that I will continue to do in my neck of the woods with a lot of different folks, it has rubbed some people the wrong way. It has. I'm not apologizing for it because I'm going to say this. If you wasn't doing what you was doing against the people, then I wouldn't have to open up my mouth. If you weren't being a lying, stealing, thieving, scoundrel, trying to hurt the people, I wouldn't open up my mouth. But instead, you tried to silence me through the law. So, for those who've never heard the story, I'm just going to repeat this very gently. My mayor, Ed Brown of Upper Darby Township, decided that he was going to take it upon himself with Sean Kilkenny of Sean Kilkenny Law out there in Montgomery County. Sean Kilkenny, you can look him up. You can look him up. He's also the Montco sheriff, so you can look that up too. But him and this guy and several others decided that it would be a good idea to stop this black man from being able to speak. That's what they thought. I mean, like conspiracy is something funny, and then the funny thing about it is that again his mentor, his before him, Barbara Ann Keffer, through the police superintendent, tried to get a false bogus charge put on me to stop me from speaking. The whole reason why I'm here at this radio station speaking is because my brother saw what they were doing to me and said, "Hold on, that's not right. Let me give my brother a platform." So please don't be angry that on Mondays you have to hear my voice or, blah, 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 because you have to understand why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if that black man hadn't did what he did to me. And I'll call him right out, Ed Brown, Ed Clown, because he used his personal feeling to usurp the law to violate my rights. And people are like, man, that's messed up. You need to sue him. I'm not. I'm not. Because suing him means that I sue the people. That means if I sue the people, I got to get a lawyer and I got to go through all this rigmarole, blah, blah, blah. And all it's going to do is turn around and make him raise taxes some more to recoup the money that I would get. And that's what he would do because he's malicious and he doesn't care. You got all these people, these elderly folks suffering. And these guys have betrayed you. And they've used lawyers, attorneys, solicitors. They've used judges. They've used judges. Y'all better pay attention to this judicial election this year. Some of these folks need to go. Some of these judges need to go. Do your homework. Some of these judges need to go. It ain't about when your family get booked. It ain't about when you got to show up for court in a domestic and you get the right judge. You guys don't know who these judges are. You don't know where they stand. You don't know where they from. You don't know where they live. You don't know what part of the state that they are. You don't know none of the judicial precincts or none of that stuff. Nothing about these judges. But you're going to go and you're going to press that button or you're going to shade that block and you're just going to go, man, they know what they're doing. Do you know what you're doing? Is that judge on your side? Does that judge share your values, your American values under the rule of law? Will you vote for this judge and then turn around and get sentenced by this judge, or watch your family member get sentenced by this judge? Or you gonna vote for this judge and where do they stand on traffic tickets? Where do they stand on police corruption? Where do they stand on bias? Where do these judges stand at? Where? That's an American value with your rule of law. And let's swipe it right into patriotism. Patriotism. Hey, USA, USA, USA. But you'll clutch your purse next to a black man when you see him on the bus. Patriotism, where you'll have people say, you're not American, not knowing that that person probably served. I've seen that happen. I've listened to that happen to my father. I've listened to that happen to men who have served. I've listened to that happen. So, you know, patriotism. I prefer Americanism, and I'm gonna say why. Patriotism sometimes is political because you sometimes feel to lean a certain way based upon someone's opinion, and they can sway you and or influence you with their words, and you can find a common bond. Americanism means that I get along with the value of everyone who understands the value of being American. That's for me. I don't know what it is to you. It could be something else. It could be nothing to some of you. It could be part this. It could be part that. And I just want to say this: whatever it is to you, That's great. Hey, if you don't like America, there's options. I'm not here to debate with you on it. I'm not here to debate the history of America. I'm not here to debate none of the struggles because we keep going around in that circle. And yes, I do know the atrocities, I just want to say this to a lot of my elders: stop beating us in the head with the slave story. We know it. We understand the assignment on that. Like, stop it. Get to the other parts. Get to the uplifting parts. Get to the parts of yes, there was struggle, but there's triumph. On my page, the Jason Delco, the J.A.C.E. of Delco. On that page, I try to daily put positive information that I know that nobody's been taught in schools. I just went and got this 3-book series, the story of Robert Smalls. I just got the graphic novel in, folks. So I'm reading through this. But yes, it's a comic book. Yes, it's a comic book. But it tells the story, the true story, an inspired story that's easy to read for your children. We got to read to these kids. We have to get them inspired to find some type of love for themselves, their individualism, their self reliance, because these kids have no esteem because you've taken the love from out of them. There is no pledge to be. There's no pledge to be. There's no pledge to be. Even when we went to the Boy Scouts, even when we went to the Cub Scouts, there was a pledge to be. Our children don't have a pledge to be in the country that they live in because we keep promoting the hate that's within it. This is why there's a decline in Americanism because we keep hating on it. We're allowing people to invoke their feelings and their emotions because they're losers. Or these folks are rich. They live in the suburbs. These folks that come down here to protest, they not from your community. They don't live in a row house. They live in a split level ranch style. They got a big old lawn. Their parents are the executives. Their parents are in the pharmaceutical industry. Their parents are lawyers. Their parents are bioengineers and all this other type of stuff. And they come into your communities and tell you to wreck it. You know what I'm saying? They tell you to wreck your own communities and tell you to hate your own country before you even get to learn why you shouldn't. Any man that tells you to hate is a fool. Any person that tells you to hate for whatever reason is a fool. They're using you. That means that you are empowering them with an energy. And when you empower them with that energy, they're going to take it back and they're going to use that energy to enrich themselves all off of your misery. That's how it's done. So, again, like I said, I'm a keen observer. Uh, I'm always watching. I'm always analyzing. I come to certain conclusions based upon a point of view, and I share them. So when I was thinking about the betrayal of American values, I did a little bit more digging, and I found L. Robert Coles, an anthropologist, and the Coles 13 values kind of mirror the American values, but there's some extra added ones. So in the 13 values that Mr. Coles, the anthropologist, has done as a study, renowned researcher and the like, In his opinion, the dominant American cultures, and I'm going to go through them very, very briefly: personal control over the environment, change, time, equality, fairness, individualism, independence, self help, initiative, competition. And I'm going to come back to competition, future organization, action work orientation, informality, directness, openness, honesty. I'm going to come back to that too. Practicality, efficiency, and materialism and acquisitiveness. I believe that the only thing that is constant in life is change. And since time waits for no one, the time to change is now. You have to be more adaptable. I believe that that is the spirit in a lot of Americans that I meet, but more so during the 40s, 50s, and 60s in the African American, Black American community is that more prevalent where change was necessary over a quick period of time. I think that we've become, as a people in general, very slothful, very lazy. Um, we find excuses not to manage our time, to change for the better, and we use those excuses as that, you know, I don't have time. When I hear somebody say I don't have time to do something, I take that as you just don't want to do it. I would rather, like, if someone says, "Hey, can you do this?" and I tell them no, I don't have time for it. Now I'm not being mean about it. I'm being very honest. I don't have time because my way my life is scheduled. Um, I'm at least a week in advance. You know, I know what I'm doing every day this week, God willing. I know where I'm going to be at a certain time every day this week. So if somebody calls me up at the last minute and say, "Hey, can you be there?" I'm sorry, you're out of luck. My schedule won't allow it because if I give someone my time, I give somebody the promise of my time, and that person's time is more valuable to me than vice versa. Competition. Uh, I think that I think that we've lost that as a value here in America, being competitive, and I think we've lost that to this soft generation of people who thinks that everybody's a winner and that nobody's a loser and that there should be participation trophies and that you did your best, so here's a cookie. No, part of our resilience in the world and why we were feared and respected was that they knew that the American ingenuity was never to give up, that we had the resolve of getting it done. We were revered by that type of attitude, being competitive on a, friendly basis, so to speak. Whether it be school athletics or, a game of chess or checkers, you know, we growing up as a kid, how I grew up as a kid, we always raced against each other. Who was the fastest? Who played jacks the best, or who jumped rope the highest, or who climbed the tree the fastest. We competed against each other, not so that way we could rub in the dirt. Yeah, you got teased a little bit, but not so that you got rubbed in the dirt. It made you come out and say, you know what, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna beat JR tomorrow. I'm gonna beat him tomorrow. It made you competitive. It made you watch, your bull. Yeah, he could run faster than you, but it made you watch and say, why is he running faster than me? We the same height. That's my homie. No, I've raced my best friends. My best friends would beat me. Sometimes I beat them. But that competitive nature is what made us American. Now we can't even compete against each other without people hating on it. I don't like this person because they think they did this. Da, 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 da. What? That's a good ball player. That's a good ball player. That's a good quarterback. That's a that's a good quarterback. Some of the things about competitive that I'm trying to teach my grandsons now that they're playing football is that they have to find it within themselves that you're gonna get hit in football, and that some of these kids have more experience than you, and they've already found their chi, so they're gonna bring it out and they're gonna hit you hard. And I need some of these moms to back up and let these boys be boys. Let these boys be boys. You can't protect them from a contact sport, mom. He gonna get hit. He gonna get smacked around. Let him. It builds character. It builds character. Now, this directness, openness, honesty part of the dominant American cultural values by L. Robert Coles. I really want to, talk about that for a second because I feel like a lot of people are deflective. There's a spirit of ambiguity in their intent and in their words. And, like I said, I know that I'm not the most well liked person on the planet. But I'm not going to just come up to you and tell you something that you want to hear to make it sound good because I want you to be impressed with me. Part of the impression that I want to make with people is that I'm factual, I'm truthful, um, I'm open to dialogue, I'm open to understanding. I am. I just don't like the games that people play with the openness of other folks. For example, I have a lot of friends, and some of these friends have the biggest hearts. The biggest hearts. I know that literally I have friends that will literally take the shirt off their backs, literally, and give it to you right in front of me. Would do it and without hesitation. I've watched people pull money out of their pocket, pull their credit cards out of their pocket to get people home or someplace safe. And I watched a lot of folks take advantage of that kindness and treat them disrespectfully and burnt them and burnt them. The way my loyalty is set up, and you can ask anybody that knows me, the way my loyalty is set up is that if you burn a friend of mine, you burnt me. That's being very direct. If you hurt somebody that I happen to care or love, well, you hurt me. If you disrespect people who I call family, who call me family, who I see at these meetings faithfully every other week, who call me up, who send me texts, who send me prayers, who hit me up in inboxes and say, "Hey, Rich Blye, I'm praying for you. I care about you, brother. Stay safe." When you hurt them, you're hurting me. I mean, like I really mean that. When you hurt somebody that I care about, when you come up against somebody that I call friend and family, you have to understand you got to go and dig 3 graves. You have to. Because if you're going to dig for my brother or you're going to dig for my sister, you got to dig for me and yourself. Because I promise you, I'm going to be right there. I never ran off on any of my homies. I ain't never, turned no state's evidence on none of my homies. If I got booked, I got booked. Quiet. Let me go to sleep. I'm gonna get bailed out. I was never worried about that. I'm gonna get bailed out. There was nothing for me to say. True story. I told people about, hey, I'm a survivor of an attempted murder. The person that tried to kill me, he didn't die in prison. That's a story for another time, though. That's a story for another time. But these American values that we're talking about, we can't lose sight of them because there are folks that are coming into this country right now who do not care, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, they don't care about your American value. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your personal integrity. They don't care about your freedom or your liberty. They don't care about your self reliance because you see how certain politicians are working with certain groups and they are taking your businesses and livelihoods away. This Chester water situation is an absolute travesty of justice, bro. This thing is absolutely a travesty.
Now, you sent me the post, but I was so excited about the Missing Plug award show.
Oh yeah, hold on.
I really didn't have time to look at
Listen,
it. I've read over it a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah.
right? So I don't know if you already explained it.
No, I ain't
So,
explain none of that. I
all
didn't
right.
explain none of that because I know that that was a hot topic.
Yeah.
That was a hot topic. And shout out to the Missing Plug Awards.
Right.
Sorry that I was not available to be in person. I was actually in Cape May escorting a coastie back to his base and had to get
Okay.
him back there on time. So I was unable to attend, but I'll definitely do my best to be there for next year's awards presentation. I heard it was a lot of fun, very enjoyable. I saw some of the pictures and the videos. So um, shout out to what's the young lady's organization?
Crystal Burrell.
Yeah, shout out to Miss Crystal Burrell. You know, it's a very good look to want to display, promote, and
Highlight.
highlight
Right.
and show community spirit with this type of award program. Like again, the competitive nature of each and every one of us. Everybody wants to win. You know, everybody feels as though that hey, what I'm doing is great. You know what I mean? Like I feel as though what I'm doing is great. And some people are like, oh, your stuff is trash. Hey, okay, cool, no problem. But I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm having a good time. So, and at the end of the day, as long as I'm not hurting anybody,
Right.
you know, let's go. I mean, I guarantee bro. Listen, I think that I'm one of the few people that shares every platform that comes on cmpradio.net,
Right.
and I share it.
Mm-hmm.
I share what I'll put following. I'll put following. And I'll watch and I'll watch and I'll go, okay, all right, I got enough for that. I'm gonna come back to it. And then I'll share it so I can come back to it.
Right.
I'll take care of something, then I'll come back in. And you've seen me come in and offer some, points and everything because I believe that every person that comes in here that does a segment,
Mm.
everybody that's part of the cmpradio.net
Right.
should be helping to promote each other's segment.
Right. Each other show.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not? I love it when the kids come in here. They're funny. They just be in here cutting it up like cutting up.
Bro.
That's it. Can you imagine just having three? I don't mean to call y'all knuckleheads, but you know what I mean. But they cut. Listen. I enjoy them. I really do because they talk what's relevant to them.
So how do you know what's relevant to children if you never ask a question?
Bro,
if you
listen,
never give them a chance to talk.
This is why I listen to them. This is why I listen. Bro, I kid you not. You know what I mean? Shout out. See, I don't mean any offense to anybody else on all of the segments. I do have a personal favorite that I watch, and it's just something about watching the dynamic of our youth gain confidence because you don't see that type of thing
No, you don't.
where the camaraderie.
Mm-mm.
That's the little mod squad right there.
Right. They my guys, man.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're coming back October 17th. They're coming back from Chester Education Foundation.
That's the little mod squad right there.
Right.
I like them.
They
You know what I mean?
definitely my guys, man. And it's football season, so I'm
Yeah.
allowing them to do what they're doing.
they
And they're starting school, right? They're starting school.
yeah, but
12th grade year for a
yeah,
lot of
it's a
them,
lot. They
right?
got to buckle down. You know
They
what I
got to
mean? Because
buckle
they got to
down. You
buckle
feel me?
down, and
And get
they got to get those they got to
right.
get those school
Get that first
accolades and everything like
trimester
that.
done, and then come
Yeah,
through here, and then I'll help you with everything else,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, they got to buckle down. So yeah, I listen. I call that it's always those three, and I be like, yeah, look at those three knuckleheads.
Right.
But I don't mean it like that. They just come across like it's so fresh, it's so energetic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's spontaneous.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna replicate that, bro. I kid you not. I'm gonna replicate that.
Right.
I am gonna replicate that.
Listen, I want every man to understand how important it is to be able to give information to the next generation, right? Explain to them how hard life is,
Right.
right? And that's one thing I didn't have,
Right.
right? My dad died when I was 12.
Right.
So the rest of my life, I've been wandering, bumping into things and learning, all right, don't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, watch that. You're going to stub your foot. You feel
Right.
me? Or you're going to hit your knee.
Right.
You're going to get smacked. Or you're going to get punched. Or you're going to get yelled at. Or you're going to be disrespected, right? So I want kids to grow up knowing that it's somebody there to give them these gems, to drop a 10 or a 20 off in their
Mhm.
pocket so they know, no, P gave me $20. I can turn here, right? Oh,
Right.
no, I remember when Uncle P told me this. You feel me? And they
Right.
still hit me up. I got brothers inboxing me now saying, yo, man, I appreciate you, bro. Like, just for being you.
Listen, I've been saying, like, shout out to my cart guys down at the Fresh Grocer down 69th Street. My cart guys, these are two young bulls, and the one guy, he's been there for years. And when I say he hustled, but when he got started, I knew he was starving. He didn't have to tell me because I looked at the way he was working.
Right.
He was working extra hard to impress to make sure he kept the job. You know what I mean? He was out there blazing. So I walked up to him, blah blah blah. I talked to him. I said, "Listen, I come in here all the time. I'm the OG, da 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 da." And I did the little hitting Bill Jones on him, clapped him a 20.
Right.
Like it was just a 20.
Right.
It was just a $20 bill.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I see this young man to this day. He tells the other young boys, "Yo, you see that OG right there?
Right.
He gonna take care of us. Da, 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 da,
right,
da.
right.
If you need," he said, "Man, listen, you ain't got to steal nothing. Blah blah blah. Come see me. Da da da." Because
Right.
when you first hungry, you in the supermarket,
Yeah.
you smell that food as a young boy.
right.
You hungry.
Right. You get to steal
You
it.
get to steal it. You know what I mean? You get to grab and taste it, eat and whatever. I can't fault you. You're not stealing to take it out. You stealing because you hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I know that hunger pain, bro.
Right.
So at the end of the day, instead of watching them suffer, take $10 out of your pocket, dog. Like, do you understand that they gonna make that work? They gonna get them some ramen, some hot dogs, some bread, some mustard, and get whatever they need to get for the side. You know what I mean? Later on, but boom, when they see you as an OG, you in.
Mm-hmm.
You validated. That's what I try to tell people. Like, I don't have those problems in my community with my young bulls because I approach my young bulls like they are. Hey, young man, what's going on? How you feeling? You good? Yeah. You need anything? No, OG, I'm good. All right, listen, I'm around. Yeah, da da da. I was talking to mom's. Mom said, "What's up?" Blah blah blah. Yo, is she good? Da da da. Yeah, that place that you told her to go to. Da da da. You know what I mean? The young man that I took back to the base.
Yeah.
This young man is honoring his mother and his grandfather with his service. Do you know that this is the first young man in about 4 to 5 years that has enlisted in the 6th district of the Upper Darby area? Ain't nobody else come out of there? So it's one black man deceased, shout out to my brother Brian Sharif Taylor, hanging on a pole. And it was one young man in the past 4 years, to have the honor of serving his country in the Coast Guard. And for anybody who need to understand about the Coast Guard, I'm going to say it like this. Look up the Barbary Pirates. Look up Emlyn Tennell. And look up what the Coast Guard really, really, really does. Okay? So do me a favor. Don't even think about it. Like I said, see, there's a reason why I say stuff like this and I talk about, things with the Navy and stuff like that. These are our heroes that rescued us on the water. This is a man who, like, this everything ties in. So when I talk about stuff, I'm not saying it just to, boost my ratings or, make people feel a certain way. I'm trying to tie in everything that I say or do because I want to invoke the thought of you to looking at it from a different point of view so that way you can go and search for the truth for yourself. It's not my job to make you believe it. It is my job to tell you that you've been bamboozled and lied to. It is my job to tell you that your house is burning. It is my job to tell you that the people that claim to love you don't. It is my job to call out them suckers that have violated the oath of the Constitution and have lied to your face and have done me personal harm. So I will always call out the mayor of Upper Darby, Ed Brown, as the clown that he is. As long as he's mayor, he a clown. And that's who he's gonna be. And can't nobody say nothing. You can be friends of his. I don't care. I don't. Go talk to that man and ask him what he did to me and why I still talk to him dirty. And I'm gonna talk to him dirty every time I see him. Every time I see him, bro. I ain't never gonna change. But at the end of the day, you do have to support our youth. And you do have a responsibility to be direct and be open and be honest with our youth. Stop playing with them. Stop trying to be their friends. Stop trying to be their buddy. It's okay to be friendly. You're not their friends. It's okay to have a certain camaraderie with them when you're speaking to them, but make sure they understand that there's a level of separation. That this has to be because a lot of these kids don't understand. They get too comfortable. They think they on certain levels. You're not on certain levels. Listen, like I said, we're right here together because I'm helping you raise your ship. But I had to lower mine.
All right.
I had to lower mine to raise yours.
They don't get that.
Okay? So don't think that because I'm right here with you that you're right here with me. It's not like that, young man, young lady. I had to lower my ship to come help you raise yours. Now, we can raise together, but it's still going to be a slow rate of progression. But at some point in time, I'm going to have to raise my ship back to where I'm at because I still have a destination to get to. And that's the other thing about this, with this free enterprise and this individualism and self-reliance. You have to be a go-getter and get out there and get the things that you want, young people. Stop letting these old, dried up, sap-sucking, miserable old people tell you that there's nothing out here, that ain't nothing out here. They are liars. They let their lives go by. They didn't get anything. I'm sorry for them, okay? I'm sorry they didn't accomplish what they didn't accomplish in their life, and now they want to superimpose or put themselves onto you and try to live vicariously through your life. Listen, jettison that. Jettison that.
Come on.
Your time is now. The reason why I speak with the passion and the strength that I speak with is because 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you're not going to have this type of energy for you. You might have it a little bit diminished. I'll probably still be speaking, but it won't be with the fire and the passion that I have for you and the love that I have for you right now and the way that I want to see you succeed right now. I want to see people succeed. I don't want to see people be torn down.
Come on.
We got to get over this thing where we're competitive on a, it's okay to be competitive, but not to a point where we're overly jealous of of being competitive with one another. Like, it's in my profile. It's in my profile. I try to tell people all the time, about, who I am and what I do. But I put who I am in my profile because I want people to understand who I am. I am smart. I am a straight talker. I am funny. I am stubborn. I am hardworking. I am honest. And I am jealous on a competitive basis. I am.
Jealous on a competitive basis.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that I like what you're doing, and I want to find out the secret to your success so I can emulate that. I want to emulate people's successes. I'm not jealous that you got it. I'm like, dog, we can all have this. You know what I mean? Like we can all have this in our life. Like when I see certain people having certain things, and then I see other people having the same thing, I'm like, wait a minute, we can all have this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then there are people that will block you and gatekeep it from you getting to the ingredient that you need in order to have that recipe mix to get there. I can have everything but the milk. I can have everything but the baking powder. You know? So I know that I have to compete, but it will never be to the point where I'm trying to, put down what you got going on. But I listen. Our segments compete. We compete for views. We compete for for time. Some shows do great. Some shows do great after after the live airing. I watch all the analytics. I look at it, and so I'm saying, well, okay, so when I prepare for my show, what can I do better? What did I see other people with their show, what they did, and how they reach audiences with their content? I look at what other people do, and then I make adjustments because that's healthy. It's a healthy thing to look at somebody else's what they're creating. I'm not taking what they're doing. I'm saying, dang, their approach to this. How did they do that? How did they get people interested in da da da? Now I can take my subject matter. Will this work? And I try it out. I see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then hey, back to the drawing board. But yeah, you know, I've always been this way, bro. I've always been this way. That whole profile about me.
Hmm.
I've always been this way. I've always been this way. Um, it's funny. I was remember I was telling you about disc profiles and the book Understanding Yourself and Others.
Yep.
So I ran across my 2010 profile from Hula Hands when I went into their management program, and I went back and looked through their biometric assessment of me, and I just had to laugh at it because what was true in 2010 is nothing like how I am now,
Right.
and that comes from growth and comes from loss.
Mm.
It comes from growth and it comes from loss because at the time I had a lot of growing to do, but I hadn't experienced loss. Now that I've experienced loss, I still see where my opportunities to grow at, but in a different way, at a different rate, and the growth isn't for anyone else. The growth is strictly for me.
Right.
It's strictly for me.
It's something about that growth when it's for you.
Well,
It's something about the growth when you have responsibilities to other people, when you are a leader in your community, but you feel like you need to grow just for you. You feel me? And
yeah.
when it's personal.
Well, see that's why like I kid you not, P. Like when I tell people I don't watch TV, I spend a lot of time. Like I'll do my research. I'll do my stuff. I'm on my tablet. I'm on my phone. Da,
Right.
da, da, I'm on a laptop. I'm
Right.
I'm on a PC. I'm on all different types of search engines.
Right.
But more than that, I'm into my books,
Right.
and I really feel as though that the search for a better me
Hmm.
lies in being reflective, meditative, opening up myself to the vulnerability of myself.
Mm.
Like nothing on the outside world can hurt me anymore.
Mm.
It's like I'm dead serious. Listen, bro.
No, I
Nothing
agree
on the
with you.
outside world can hurt me anymore.
I agree with you.
Nothing on the outside world can hurt me anymore. It's dealing with the internal
Mm.
me,
Mm.
the vulnerable
Mm.
me. And what I've learned is that of course I have cmpradio.net on Mondays
Right.
for this fabulous show that I put together.
You definitely put
You
it
know what I mean?
together.
This fabulous show that I put together.
Right.
But the other part of it is that every other week for 3 minutes, I get to vent that frustration out. And I do.
Where you do that at?
Down at Upper Darby Township Council, 100 Garrett Road, second floor,
Come on.
and right in front of Ed Brown.
Come on.
Right at the public comment because the source of that was not from anybody else but him.
Mm.
So I make sure that that 3 minutes is scathing.
Mm.
It's scathing. It is, and it's not on a hate thing. It's just that it's a therapeutic thing because that, like I said, what happened to me was it's not about the fact that he took the speech from me. It's the fact that you conspired as a black man to do it. That's the most messed up part about this. As a black man, with the mutual history that we share as black Americans, and you conspired with this white guy to take my speech because of what I said about the white woman who was your mentor,
Mm.
and y'all wanted to make sure that you got your revenge for what I said about this white woman. I know that's taboo, everybody. Everybody know that you can't say, "Ooh, black man talked about the white woman." Well, that ship has sailed. The moment that I put that bottle of Tito's up on in council meeting, I already drew my line because I knew what she did to me too. And there's a couple people. It's a couple people. I'm trying to tell you, it's a couple people. I'm glad there's a couple people that have started taking the hint about how I feel about this man personally, because I need people to understand something. What I'm doing is absolutely lawful. Did you know that I could absolutely attack his character because what he did was outside the color of his color of law and outside of his oath, and that the Constitution guarantees the fact that when you do things personally outside of your oath as an elected official, that I have the right to redress and redress my grievances directly to his face.
Mm.
That's why ain't nobody touching me when I go down there,
Mm.
because I understand the law, understand how it works, I understand the code, I understand what I'm supposed to do.
There's something about understanding the law,
Man,
man.
listen.
People just don't get.
The problem with these folks is that they want to try to put these solicitors in front of me,
Hmm.
but like I told this current solicitor, pretty much, mind your business, mind your business, and we'll be all right. Mind your business.
So,
I got unfinished business. I think everybody in Upper Darby Council knows to mind their business.
hmm.
I think they should know to mind their business, because, like I said, man, you should know the amount of dirt that these people did.
It doesn't surprise me anymore.
No, bro. Like
I mean,
it's getting even dirtier.
it's not dirtier. How can you be any dirtier than
Uh, uh,
literally extorting and dealing with the criminal element of your
yeah,
community?
yeah, but well, it's not. I'm gonna tell you how dirty it gets. So as you know, the county's going to be given. They already gave us the 23% tax hike. They're going to do another 6% next year. Upper Darby's got their tax implemented. You got Chester Water Authority 14% rate increase. You got 12% increase with the electricity and all other type stuff with PICO.
Everybody's trying to get paid.
Yeah, everybody's trying to rob poor people. So, but do you know that Monica Taylor and Crandall Jones, the CEO of Upper Darby, had the audacity? They're going to host a forum about poverty down at the University of Pennsylvania.
I mean, just because.
How you going to hold a forum on poverty when you're two of the most prevalent people involved in creating poverty? So wait a minute. Taxation out the yin yang for these properties, and taxation by these companies. No hospital. No hospital. No hospital. No hospital. Okay, so now you have no homeless shelters, because now Chester's the only place that has a homeless shelter in the county now.
How is Chester the only place that has a homeless shelter in the county?
Well, Brookhaven got rid of theirs
Why?
because they don't want them. They don't want no they don't want the women to be taken care of. They don't want the children to be taken care of.
Hold on, stop.
What? What?
The homeless shelter.
In Brookhaven?
Yes.
Gone.
Which one was it?
The one where they advocated before and opened up for another year and said they wasn't gonna sell the land.
Where was it located?
I gotta look it up,
Yeah,
bro.
don't. Just let me know after the show.
Yeah,
I never knew there was a homeless shelter.
in Brookhaven.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
right.
was. Yeah, there was. It was a Catholic. It was like it was by the.
So that's the problem,
Yeah.
right? So the Catholic churches don't have the funds anymore.
Right.
Hold on. Don't have the funds anymore to keep these programs going.
Of course.
This is why they closed a lot of the schools. This
Mhm.
is why they conformed and
Mhm.
melded their church and other churches,
Mhm.
right? Um, and that's because they're moving away. People are
Mhm.
moving away and going to other churches, other Catholic churches, the bigger churches, the more right. And so those areas are now, away from us, right? Away
Mhm.
from Chester, right? When Chester had over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Catholic schools,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Holy Ghost. I ain't even gonna do all that.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
they had quite a few.
Yeah.
I know one is 1, 2, 3, 4 just on Third Street alone,
Mhm.
right? Then you go up to 9th Street where the Rite Aid was. It was one up
Over
there.
there. Yep.
Then you go down to 291. It was
What's
one
this
over
under
there.
there?
Then you go to St. James. Then you go to St. Robert's,
Mhm.
right? So we did 5 already on the west side,
Right.
and then 2, so that's 7.
Well, you also have to understand that um, Christianity used to be a big thing, whether you were Catholic, whether you were Protestant, or whatever. Christianity used to be a big thing. Now people aren't Christian; they're Islamic,
Or they're atheists, or they just
or
don't
they're
believe.
just
Or they
you know.
just don't
But
believe,
you know,
right?
so I listen. I understand the Catholic Church divesting itself, but every township and county has a mandate to take care of their vulnerable citizens, and there's money for it.
And so if there's money for it, then they need to find the money for it
No,
because
they had the money for it. They're not going to spend the money for it.
let's think about the hospital, Sacred Heart. It was all like it was Catholic.
Yeah.
It was a Catholic
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
Crozier,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm. Bro, let me say this. Let me say,
they.
let me say this about the Crozier situation, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna call bullshit on this county. Ain't no way when you sat down when they closed Delaware County Memorial in Upper Darby, okay, and you put together this team of people to now watch the last 2 hospitals before they close. Ain't nobody doing forensic audit on these people in the time when they was getting money. They was just writing a check to these folks.
Who was writing the check?
The county.
I don't think the county was writing the check.
They had to.
I think they got paid from the sale
No, I'm not talking about the
because
sale.
it was a nonprofit. Then it got sold to a.
I'm not talking about the
for-profit.
sale, bro. I'm talking about the money that was going before the hospital closed here in Chester.
Right,
That the
Crozier.
county, that the county was bailing out.
The county wasn't bailing them out.
Yes, they were,
How was they giving them money?
bro.
I don't know nothing about this. See, this information you're giving me, so I didn't know that the county was.
What did Crozier say? Crozier said we.
That's
gonna,
why the county's in debt right
Crozier said we gonna close the hospital if you don't give us the remaining $1.7 million. Then we need to stay open for 2 weeks, and they gave it to him. Who you think was paying Crozier to stay open? Who was paying Crozier? They were paying Crozier to stay open, bro.
now. I know. I thought it was more of a foundation. I thought that was Delaware County.
Okay, Delaware County was part.
Then it
But
was- then
they
it
were they
was
were
the-
part of it, bro, because they had to be a
But what I'm
part of it.
saying, I thought it was more the foundation.
Well, yeah, hold on. Yeah, the foundation, bro.
But the foundation is a real legit situation.
Yeah, okay. Well, where's the money coming from? The state, right?
The foundation, they have money.
Where'd the money come from?
I don't know. You don't know, and I don't know. We can't assume that we know where the money's coming from if we're not really giving the money the right proper.
Okay, all right.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm gonna say this again.
Agree to disagree. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this again, bro.
I'm not
gonna say this again.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm gonna say this again.
Okay.
If you go
Mm-hmm.
and you read everybody's charter
Mm-hmm.
in this county,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a mandate
Mm-hmm.
to take care of 2 groups of people.
Mm-hmm. Women and children.
Nope, 2 groups of people.
Mm.
The vulnerable public
Mm-hmm.
and veterans.
And they don't do that.
They don't care.
It's not that they don't care.
No, bro, they don't care. Bro, they do not care. You hear me? They do not care. Listen, the veterans know it, but they have this honor program And shout out to all my veterans. You know I'm about to say, y'all know I'm about to say because y'all heard me say this. They have a certain honor code of honor. These veterans, they're not going to get into it with a public official
Why would they?
because they don't. They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't. You know, they'll talk. Listen, they'll talk to me and have a different conversation with me, but on the surface with public officials, their honor, their honor keeps them from saying what they really feel.
So if we know all of these things,
Mm-hmm.
and we know how the system isn't being ran to benefit the people,
Mm-hmm.
and we have somebody that's doing what he's doing currently in the highest office,
Mm-hmm.
and then we look down and people who are in these offices see what he's doing, and they start trying to do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and don't they know that they could be voted out?
Well, when you have people who are going to vote one way straight based upon the hatred
Of the
of
other
of
people,
of the person, they listen. Do you notice they ain't even campaigning?
they not.
No, listen, bro. They listen.
They
They,
not.
they listen. They already know that they got you in the bag. So they listen.
Or people don't care.
Listen. They listen. They know they got you in the bag. They know they got other people that's going to vote for them. They not worried about the black vote no more. Bro, listen to me. All that other stuff is for show. That's the parties and stuff like that is just to keep you, da da da. I say this very plainly. The party is to make sure that you remember that they gave you a party. But they don't care. They done got their quota in. Listen, certain areas need it, because this is how it works for representatives, bro. Certain areas needed only 1,300 people to sway votes. So those 1,300 people came into that area. And guess which way they gonna vote? Okay? I talk to people. People think that they from here. I talked to this one young lady in the supermarket. She from Tennessee. She don't know nothing about nothing that's going on in the area. She's lived here for 5 years. I said, well, how do you vote? Well, I vote straight Democrat. I said, you don't know nothing about nothing. Well, I said, you know what, ma'am? I said, I'm not being critical of you, but you don't even know who these people are. I said, did you even look at their profiles?
So what you're saying is people are getting in office, they're not taking care of their responsibilities as far as taking care of the people that deserve the help.
Bro,
So who are they taking care of?
Listen.
They're taking care of themselves.
They're taking care of their little special interest groups.
And this is what we're dealing with Trump, right? Where Elon Musk was in there, the special interest groups, the people that have the money over your head, the people that can support your campaign.
Okay, watch this. Watch this. Even Donald Trump put money to historically black colleges, right? Right? Hold on.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say this. So even if the people on the lower level were taking care of their people and their constituents,
right,
part of a democratic republic is that you don't forget the minority and you take care of them too. Like I told Mayor Stephen Roots when we did that when he did that interview talking about the murder rate during the summer. I expressed to him and I told him, I said, Mayor Roots, don't be like other Democrat mayors now that you're in power, where you alienate the minority party of Republicans. I said, don't be like every other Democrat. I said, I'm gonna tell you a story, and this is the true story because Killer Mike had said it on a podcast. When Atlanta was nothing but a dirt road, when Atlanta was still bombed out and depleted, they elected Andrew Young to mayor. Now, Andrew Young did something that has never been done again and probably never will be by a black Democrat. He totally revitalized Atlanta. And he didn't take anything from anybody to do it. He let the ones that already had their little positions, the white side of town, he let them keep what they had. He said, okay, you guys run the air traffic controllers, da da da. I'm going to give the brothers the ability to build the tarmacs for the new airport that we're going to have. You already have this over here, so I'm just going to set up economic wealth by getting these guys contracts to do specific work. So when you get a contract and you got a big job, Now you get extended credit to buy the big machines and the equipment that you need, blah, 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 to hire people and personnel. Now you got a corporation. Now you got an LLC, da, da, da. That's how Black Power grew in Atlanta. He didn't alienate nobody. But see, these black Democrats now, they want to play the alienation game. They want to play the tit for tat game. They want to play the, oh, my people suffered 400 years ago, da, 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 so I'm going to make you feel that pain. These people probably ain't had nothing to do with none of that. But because of a party affiliation, you're going to hurt other people. Hold on. I know constituents. They may vote a certain way, but guess what? If a Democrat needs something, you know they right there for them. You know, they'll come in with clothes, they'll come in with money, they'll come in with donations, and they on the other side of the aisle. Like the boy that's running, Kyle McIntyre. This boy gets help from other Republicans, and they tell him they support this boy. But this boy come up and tear down their whole stuff. This boy come down there and tear down the whole party, tear him down with it. Allow people to come in and call them hoes and all types of thugs and all types of stuff at the meetings. But you'll sit right across from this person, and if you need that person and you know they're Republican, you free to call them, and they're gonna be there for you. And this is all above board. So people want to play this game like this all this tremendous hate in Upper Darby. No, it's not. It's a few select people in power. When I say it's a few select people, these guys are peons. They just happen to hold powerful positions, but they really ain't sugar honey iced tea, bro. These are incredibly stupid people wielding a lot of power, and people are just afraid of them.
Isn't that how things work, though?
No. I'm gonna tell you something right now. One of the things I'm gonna tell you why I enjoy coming to Chester too. You don't feel that sense of you can't speak in Chester like you did before.
Why is that?
I think the attitude of indifference has changed with the personality of the person who's leading. It's not an attitude of indifference. It's more of a, I have to hear it anyway, so I better listen.
That had to start somewhere before the person that's leading, though, because you don't get the leader.
No.
Without breaking.
But yes, at a certain point,
Right.
when it reveals itself, you have an option. You can either still be a bull moose and go in that direction, or you can learn from it and gather the opportunity. Like I said, when I talked to that man, and Mayor Roots, when I talked to him,
Right.
and I told him,
Right.
I said, look, you know who I am. You know what I want to say. I said, but it's going to be the truth. Don't alienate anybody. I said, don't alienate anybody. I said, that's what's happening all across the county. This is why you're getting all this pushback.
Right.
Because
are you really getting pushback though? It's
Yeah.
not that. It's not.
I'm not saying he's getting pushback.
No, not him. I'm
Yeah.
just saying in the county. Like,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, bro. It's contentious.
it's.
It's contentious.
I think it's more contentious because of who's in control up top than it is
No.
for anybody.
No.
Okay.
These problems that are happening in the county
Mhm.
are individuals who are sitting in these seats with this power being directed and protected by solicitors who are finding case law to establish ordinances.
That's what.
Hold on, no. But see, here's the thing. They're illegal, bro. Okay,
How are they illegal?
okay. This Human Relations Commission is illegal as hell.
Human Relations Commission.
Yeah, it's illegal as hell. It's illegal.
Now, what is that?
So basically, they're going to put 10 to 15 people together. And if somebody makes a complaint, if I say something to give out something and it's harmful, and if I say something that if somebody says, you didn't call me by my pronouns or something like that or whatever, they can launch an investigation, possibly fine you, probably recommend it to the state commission.
So the state has a commission that.
Yeah, the state has always had a Human Relations Commission.
So how is it illegal for the county to have one?
Why is it necessary? Because you have people who have no police powers. Okay, they're going to be able to make determinations based upon.
You can't be arrested for these. You can be fined, but you can't be arrested.
Who has
summary offenses? Are they not? What are they?
Okay, who has arresting powers?
Are they summary offenses? Yes or no?
Who has arresting powers?
Oh, yeah. See, that's the problem.
No. See, it's not even a summary
So-
offense. Bro, in order for somebody to give you a summary offense,
Mhm.
they have to have that power to do it.
So if they put somebody in that position,
Don't have the power because they have to be deputized. That means they have to take an oath.
All right, so you get them to take an oath.
They can't take an oath because they won't have any arrestable powers.
Yeah, so you keep on running around the same question.
Right. And like I said before, how are these idiots going to get past the Liquor Control Board codes when it comes to making a determination of a VIP, a visibly intoxicated person, when you have to follow certain scientific established criteria? Height, weight, color of eyes, and sex.
Oh, you tripping.
Male or female.
You tripping.
Ain't nobody tripping. Ain't nobody tripping. Hold on, let me give it to you. Right
Go
this,
ahead,
right?
go ahead.
Hold on, watch this. Watch this. Human Relations Commission. Human Relations in Delaware County.
Right.
Somebody comes in and I ask for their ID.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who are the only two people that can hold your ID indefinitely?
A cop.
A cop and a bartender.
Right.
A bartender can hold your ID for as long as they need to.
Right.
And based upon their judgment, because this is a judgment call, they can deny you based upon a criteria. So let's say we go down there and they say, what color your eyes? They say blue. They say, what's your height? 6'2". What's your gender? So now here we go. What's your gender? The person says female. Excuse me, it says male on here, denied. You can do that. You can do that. Hold on. You can do that. And then you write it down in a log that you did not serve this person because they lied and said that they was a male, said they was a female when they were actually a male.
Mm-hmm.
So now this goes up to the Human Relations Commission. You got to get the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board involved on this one, and they ain't changing their code. No time soon. They're not changing their criteria because it's based upon a science. It's based upon blood alcohol content. That's a science.
They can't give you a test for that?
A test for what?
Blood alcohol.
Yeah, it's called a breathalyzer. Okay? But they have to make a determination based upon what? Time, body weight, and gender. Because men can process sugar more than women.
Right.
Okay? So if you have somebody in front of you that's visibly intoxicated, but they're saying that they're a man, and you know that they're a woman, I'm not saying that I would do it, but I do have the legal right to deny your service under the law. So how you going to circumvent that? And so what you going to do? You going to get every bartender, on the Human Relations Commission because somebody's going to be offended that they have to follow the ID of serving responsible alcohol here in the state of Pennsylvania? Absolutely. That ain't nobody going to get off of? Absolutely. Ain't nobody getting off of.
I'm going to do what I need to do.
Yeah, you doggone Skippy, sir. You doggone Skippy I am. And I don't care. Because you know why? Because it's based upon the science. You can't deny it. You can't say, Rich, you're lying. Oh, I am? Let's go talk to the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board and see what they say. Because I've been in this industry for a long time. Right. And everybody's trying to argue the politics of it. Everybody's trying to argue this. Everybody's trying to argue this. And I'm trying to get to something very common sense and basic. How are you going to get past liquor control laws when it comes to IDing people who may be intoxicated or who may be underage or who might be using the fake ID? They might be using their boyfriend's ID or their brother's ID, and they could be, look like their brother and pass for their brother. Right. Okay? There's a lot of criteria that go with this. So you're going to penalize people in the hospitality industry because somebody feels a certain type of way because getting alcohol is not a right, it's a privilege.
Yes, it is.
It's a privilege. Listen, if somebody came to me, I can ID them every drink.
Why?
Because I can.
Why would you though?
I can though. I'm just saying, I can.
I know you can, but why would you?
Some people, some.
I'll give you my ID once you know how old I am.
Bro, I can ID you per drink.
All right, I'm done. CMPRadio.net, man. This is the wonderful world of Rich Blye, man. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, listen. We just having some fun here. This is CMP Radio. And this is the wonderful world of Rich Blye. Listen, I'm going to end this with this book series. I'm never going to get off of this. The Escape of Robert Smalls, A Daring Voyage Out of Slavery. Robert Smalls, American Hero by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And the story of Robert Smalls. This graphic novel is awesome, ladies and gents. It's awesome. It's very, very awesome. It tells a certain. I see. I'm not going to give it up because when you read this graphic novel, you're going to understand how he was able to do what he did, and it's just an awesome story that I believe that if you really want to impact a young black man or even a young black girl or even anybody from any demographic, if you want to impress them with a true story up from slavery, a daring rescue, a brilliant heist, and a champion 17 naval battles, and a statesman to go from being, a functional illiterate to being a hero, South Carolina. That's your guy. But we'll see you next week on the flip side.